Good evening. This is a public service announcement brought to you by the good men and women of law enforcement of these United States of America. And now, for your announcement. My fellow Americans, it is with the utmost pride and sincerity that I present this recording as a living testament and recollection of history in the making. Actually, this is a video brought to you by me, Attorney Corey Scott, but I want to talk to you about something that's very, very important. Probably wouldn't be sponsored by the men and women of law enforcement, but nonetheless, you get the point. This is very important. Listen in. This is what I want to tell you tonight. You, yes you have the right to remain innocent. That's the title of my talk tonight. This title comes from a book that I recently purchased. The book is written by Virginia law professor James Duane. James Duane, if you go on YouTube, he has a talk entitled Don't Talk to Police. This YouTube video has over 21 million views. So as you might imagine, it has plenty of information that ordinary citizens can use on a daily basis to protect themselves. So this is what I want to talk about. I want to raise up one gem of wisdom that he shares in this book. And this is what he says. Mr. Duane has traveled all over the United States giving lectures on college campuses, talking to college students, talking to law students and the like. And this is what he shares in the book. He makes a point in each and every one of his presentations to do this. He'll have young men and women identify themselves if they either have parents that are either part of law enforcement or are prosecutors. So he has these people identify themselves. And once they identify themselves, this is the question that he poses. Would you please share with us what your parents share with you regarding how to deal with law enforcement if you're stopped, or if you're pulled over, or if someone comes to your apartment? And this is what he said. He said every single time. Now, mind you, this man has given hundreds of lectures all across this country. He said every person, to a person, that has answered this question has said this. My parents told me that if I'm ever stopped by law enforcement, number one, to give them a call, and number two, not to make any voluntary statements under any circumstances. And the other thing they've shared is this. If the police come to your apartment, to your house, to your home, never volunteer to submit to a search of the premises. And I'm going to let that sit for a moment. Think about that. Because this point, it literally blew my mind. When I read this passage, it stopped me dead in my tracks, and I just had to let it sink in. Because here's the trick part about that. These are people, men and women, that make their careers day in and day out persuading other people to talk to the police and to give up their constitutional rights. But when it comes time to advise their son, their daughter, their niece, their nephew, this is what they say. Never ever give a voluntary statement to the police, and never allow the police to search your car or your apartment. The great Oprah Winfrey, she said this. When a person shows you who they really are, believe them. And I think that it really applies here, because these people, think about it. These people know how the criminal justice system works. They know exactly how it's set up. But when they give this advice to their kids, you have to admit it must be pretty good advice. And my word to you tonight is this. Don't take my word for it. Don't even take Mr. Duane's word for it. Take the advice of the good men and women of law enforcement all across these United States. And when it comes time, if you ever get stopped, if you ever get pulled over, remember this video. Don't talk, don't volunteer to searches, and take it from them. Now I'm going to raise this book up for you. This is the book that I'm talking about. Everyone needs to go out and purchase this. It's a very small book, not that many pages. It doesn't cost a lot. I think this book cost me $10 on Amazon. Purchase the book, and then the next thing you need to do is go to YouTube, look up the YouTube video. Don't talk to police. Again, this is a video that has been brought to you, and this advice has been brought to you, not from me, Corey Scott, not from Professor James Duane, but from the good men and women of law enforcement.